Hello again and welcome to the Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. So, I should have mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it in my last video, but my new mic has arrived. So, as many of you probably know, I got my old microphone, my old headset broke. I bought a new one. I bought a Logitech 430 and it was just terrible. I'm sure it was really good for gaming, really crisp and clear and everything. But when I used it for recording, the problem was it had incredible background hiss, really bad for basically having the mic permanently on. So that was annoying. So I took that back, got my refund. That was great, and I rebought my old headset. It's blue now. It was red, but I rebought my old headset. So normal video quality should be restored. I may have to mess around the settings a little bit to get it back to where it was, but in general, normal settings have been restored. So, today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Tempestus Scions and how they have changed post-FAQ. Okay? To be honest, I don't expect this video to take very long. There's only a few minor things that really need to be said about sort of the changes to Scions. Overall, I would say Scions have been affected. They have. That's we're not gonna lie about that. But I would say overall, in terms of deep striking armies or armies that are reliant on deep strike, Scions have come out pretty good. Okay, and the main reason for this is that Scions or Stormtroopers, whatever you want to call them, Stormtroopers have. Well, they're a shooting army. And I know there are some people out there that run pure Tempestus Scions, and that is still perfectly fine because obviously Scions you can only run 3 units, but troop choices aren't affected by that. Scions troop choices, dedicated transports aren't affected by that, so Torx Primes are still good to go. You can now only run a maximum of 3 Tempestus command squads, but to be honest, I don't think there are many people running more than maybe 4 or 5, so it's not a big deal. You just break those special weapons that are in those squads and spread them out into regular Scion squads. Now, it's not a huge problem. A few changes may have been made, but I'd say overall, you're still able to spam plasma till the cows come home, and that's what you should be doing as a Scion player. Honestly, there's only 2 weapons, as far as I'm concerned, there are only 2 weapons that exist in Scions, and that is plasma guns and melter guns. Volley guns are okay, but stick them on your Torx Primes. We're talking about infantry, plasma guns and metal guns. That's all you need. Now, yeah. So obviously, Scions did get quite badly hit by the whole deep striking thing, but it's not too bad because they're not an assault unit. So you can some armies that absolutely relied on turn 1 deep striking and assault, they're absolutely good to bad. Scions, yeah, it's annoying. You now have to wait till turn 2. It's not the end of the world. It's just what you have to sort of. There are 2 ways you can play it, okay, and both work absolutely fine. The first way you can use your Scions is basically as a turn 2 bait strike, okay. If you're running pure Scions, then a recommended army I would run is something like 5 or 6 Torx Primes, all with Gatling cannons and volley guns, 2 or 3 Valkyries, just to bring some extra Dakar, pop some squads in there as well if you need to, and then you can also you would be deep striking in the rest of your army. So the way you would run it is your turn 1. You would use all the anti-infantry you have on your vehicles. We're talking like Hellstrike missiles, we're talking Gatling cannons, volley guns. You would use that to clear away any screening units. I mean, if you're running 5 Torx Primes, that's 100 Dakar shots. That configuration of 5 or 6 plus Dakars plus Dakar Primes plus 2 or 3 Dakar Valkyries. Dakaries? That's a drink, isn't it? Dakar Valkyries. That would be enough to clear away any screening units, and then that would turn 2 leave a nice sort of opportunity to get in close with the plasma gunners, rapid fire range, crack open the tanks, crack open the heavy units, and then the Torch Primes would come in as a third punch again and finish off what's left. That's one way I see using Scions now. The second way is a bit more interesting, and it's a little bit more situational. The way to win with Scions is to constantly keep the momentum going, okay, and so it's difficult. It can be you have to be on the attack all the time, but there are situations when you need to dig in. You need to do that. Maybe you've just got to hold an objective. Maybe you've got to defend an objective. Maybe it's an Eternal War mission, and there's all the objectives you need are in the middle of the board, and you've just got to hold that middle of the board no matter what. How you can run your Scions in that situation is you use them to reinforce weak points. You use them to almost like the way you would use tactical terminators. A lot of people use tactical terminators. They drop them in behind enemy lines. They get isolated. They get cut down. That's not the way you use terminators. You use tactical terminators to reinforce where you already have units that you want to exploit that gap even further. You want to provide additional firepower. And that's how you would use your Scions. You wouldn't throw them ahead of the Torch Primes as you would traditionally want to. You deploy them. You would deep strike them alongside the Torch Primes and create a thin blue line or a thin red line, whatever colour scheme, mana blue. So that's the second way you would do it. You take the ground and you use the Scions to reinforce the ground. It's not the worst idea because it means it gives your enemies a bit more target saturation. They may not know whether to kill the trucks or to kill the Scions. Now the one thing I do want to say, it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise. But the one thing I want to say is, well, I mentioned it before, having momentum with Scions is really important. But a lot of people, myself included, it took me a while to learn this. A lot of people will deep strike all their Scions in one go and just essentially blow their load well too early. And the problem when you do that is you commit all your forces, you absolutely smash the area that you're in, but then you're left isolated, and if your opponent can survive that punch, he'll sweep your Scions away easily. You need to be able to have a second wave and a third wave. And I think, honestly, being forced to not deep strike your Scions in turn one, unless you want to put me in deployment zone, which you might want to do. I doubt it, but you might want to do. It forces you to have a more steady momentum. You want to be hitting the enemy hard and fast, but you don't want to be running out of steam too early. And that's almost what delaying the deep strike by one turn does. Okay, it forces you to do as much damage as possible with your Torch Primes and your Valkyries and whatever. You do as much damage as possible. That gets the ball rolling. Okay, that gets the ball rolling, and then turn 2 comes in and you bring in half your drop troops, and you do significant damage. You go in with the second wave, you smash the entire area, you kill anything with more than 2 legs, and then you have a third wave, and you bring in a third, and that means from waves through turns 1, 2, 3, your enemy is getting hit hard, and they're getting hit again and again and again, and that should allow you to keep the momentum. So it's a bit annoying, and I know there are a lot of Scion players out there which initially were thinking this is bullshit, my army's been nerfed, but it's not. You just have to be able to use your ground assault forces a little bit more. And if any of you have seen my latest battle report with the Ordo Malleus, if you actually notice, I don't deep strike in any Scions, not from what I remember. I have some in a Valkyrie, but I don't deep strike any of them in. And I use that, if you notice, on my turn 3, I jump my guys out of the Valkyrie. And that was just for fun purposes. But imagine if they deep struck down instead. But that was a turn 3 commitment of extra reinforcements. And it made a huge difference. huge. I think that is the key to Scions. It's you have to have now. I've said it before. You have to have an alpha and a beta strike, or now you have to have like an alpha, beta, and a gamma strike. You have to clear the way. It's almost like in Independence Day, the film Independence Day, when they run out of missiles and they have to use all the machine guns to like destroy the alien ships. And the president goes, "Gentlemen, let's plow the road." And that's what you have to do. You know, they're clearing the way, and that's what you have to do. Almost imagine that with your Torx primes and your Valkyries. You're going to spend turn 1 clearing the road, ploughing the road. And what you're going to do is you're going to clear away any screening units whatsoever. Just get rid of them. Just dakka. Then you can hit them hard with the plasma, with the melter. And you crack open as much as possible. And then, more than likely, your opponent will sweep most of those sounds away. But then you have your third wave where you hit them again, because it's important to have that initial drop. Those guys are going to die. It's important to have the initial drop because it takes pressure off your Torx primes. It takes pressure off your Valkyries. So it's important to have that initial wave. They get in the enemy's face. They put the voodoo into him, and then the third turn, you bring in the final wave of Scions, and it's the nail in the coffin. It's the nail in the coffin. And I think, like I said, being forced to do that may be a blessing in disguise. Tell me what you guys think. Then maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe Scions are completely gutted and they've been nerfed and they're useless and everyone's putting them on eBay. Maybe. That's not the way I see it. That's not the way I've experienced it. That's not the way I've played it. Tell me what you guys think. So